Hello everybody, welcome to Review a Day, episode number 21 for Tuesday, September the 2nd, 2008. Hello everybody, welcome to Review a Day, the daily video blog where I review a movie 7 days a week. My name is Leland Brungart and thank you very much for joining me. The movie I'm going to talk about today is a film called Brick. I've been seeing the trailer for the movie The Brothers Bloom a lot, and this is from the same director. Brothers Bloom is the film that stars Mark Ruffalo, Rachel Weisz, and Adrian Brody, and a bunch of other people. This was his feature-length directorial debut. It's a movie called Brick. This movie stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who you probably know from Third Rock from the Sun. He was also in Stop Loss and a really great movie called The Lookout. He was very young, but he was also in Angels in the Outfield. Nora Zettner, I think is how it's pronounced. She's on Heroes. Lucas Haas, Noah Fleiss, Matt O'Leary, and Emily DeRaven, who you probably know as Claire on Lost. This film is about a teenage outcast named Brendan, who is played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and one day his ex-girlfriend goes missing, and he decides to take it upon himself to track her down and find out what happened to her. He goes through the kind of underground high school crime scene to figure everything out, and it plays out like an old school noir detective story. It takes that kind of classic detective story and it sets it all in the modern high school setting. The main character is that rough, tough, hard-boiled detective who gets the shit beat out of him over and over again in this film. He has a friend who has thick Coke bottle glasses, and he's kind of his informant, and who keeps his ear to the ground for him and feeds him all the information he knows. He's always on the internet. There's a kingpin drug. There's a drug kingpin in this film. There's different kinds of criminals. There's some really great femme fatale characters who manipulate all of the men in this movie. I mean, this movie is classic noir turned up to 11. The film is really fun to watch because it's just interesting to see how they're going to take all of these classic film noir conventions and adapt them for the high school setting, and it's so much fun to watch. One thing that it definitely keeps up and turned up is the film noir dialogue. It's reminiscent to kind of the dialogue I think more people are familiar with is Sin City, but I think the dialogue in this film is better. I think it's not quite as heavy-handed. Sin City's a lot better when you read it, but once someone says it out loud, it's corny. This film, I mean, the dialogue does get a little corny and a little ridiculous, but it's so much fun to see, and one of the reasons it does work is because Joseph Gordon-Levitt is a fantastic actor, and he really sells it. He's really becoming one of my favorite kind of young, up-and-coming talents. He's been around for a while, but I think he's really arriving. If you haven't seen The Lookout, I highly recommend it because he's fantastic in it. But this film, he really shines, and I really like him a lot in it. Lucas Haas is another actor who plays, his character is called The Pin, and he is quite literally the kingpin, the drug kingpin in this character. His friends kind of chauffeur him around in an old van, and he has a lamp in there, and he always has a cane. And it's kind of funny to see this character, who's this skinny kid kind of playing a drug kingpin, but he sells it. I really liked him a lot in this film. Another really fantastic thing about this film is the score. It's really unique, and I don't even know what kind of instruments they use for a lot of it. It just kind of sounds like they tuned glass bottles and they play them like xylophones throughout it. And it sounds amazing. I remember seeing the trailer for this film, and that was one of the things that really resonated and stuck with me was the music. And on the Brothers Bloom website, before the trailer came out, there was also some really great music. And I was kind of disappointed that I didn't hear any of that really fantastic music in the trailer for the film. I mean, obviously a movie like this, when it comes together this well, the performances, it's because of the fantastic directing. And Rian Johnson, for his first feature film, hits it out of the park. I mean, this film is fantastic. The film has a really interesting color palette, and sometimes you watch movies and the performances are kind of all over the place and they don't seem to fit together, but in this film, everyone's on the same page. And he also wrote the screenplay, which is incredibly complex. I wasn't quite sure what happened after the first time I watched it, but I think the test of a truly great film with a complex plot is, even at the end, if you don't understand every single thing that happened, you like it anyways. And the closing, toward the end of this film, it's on a football field, and I couldn't help but be reminded of Dirty Harry when he's taking out the Scorpio killer toward the end on the field. It really reminded me of that. I also really like this film because there's a lot of fistfights in it, and the fistfights feel really painful. When Brendan gets punched in the face repeatedly, it really hurts. And it feels really amazing that this character keeps going after getting his ass kicked this many times. Whenever a character brings a gun into the equation in this film, it feels like a big deal, which I think is very appropriate considering that these characters are supposed to be between 16 and 18. When characters pull out guns and bullets start flying, it is scary. And in so many films we see bullets being wasted like left and right, just all over the place. And in this film, every single one of them counts and you feel the impact of all of them. This is definitely one of the best directorial debuts I've ever seen. It's really quite amazing that he hadn't even done a crappy feature-length film before this, because this is, he knew exactly what he was doing. I give this film a 5 out of 5. I think it's incredibly unique. I think it's one of the best debuts I've ever seen. For those of us who love film noir and things like that, it is so much fun to see them try to adapt it for the high school setting. I love it and I highly recommend it. So if you guys are liking these reviews, make sure and subscribe. Also, if you have any requests on movies you'd like me to review, leave them in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.